Yeah.
Hey everybody, Savat the Mighty here, and I'm back with another Eve Echoes video. In today's video, we're going to be back on the test server, and we're going to be taking a look at the Oracle 2 yet again. So I wanted to experiment around with a lot more fittings and see what can and cannot be done with this, and just take a look at it with max level skills for the purposes of the close range fit. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Now before we get into this video, if you do like my content, please leave a like on the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do release new content in the future. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump in and see what we have here. Okay, so first things first, I didn't do this in the last one because I was just taking a look at mine, but we're going to take a look at everything that this ship actually has. So the Oracle 2, for its roll bonus, it gets minus 95% large laser power grid needed and minus 50% large laser capacitor needed. That capacitor is huge. It's going to let them use these large lasers way more effectively than any type of battleship in the same class that's using lasers, and the large lasers specifically will get. For large laser operation bonus per level, it's going to get plus 5% large laser damage and minus 10% large laser capacitor need. That means it's going to use even less capacitor every time this thing's firing, which is also amazing. And it's going to get a raw damage bonus, which is really good as well. Advanced Battlecruiser Command bonus is going to get a minus 5% inertia modifier and plus 5% scan resolution. That means it is going to lock that little bit faster, and it's going to be able to turn quite well. Even though the ship itself is a clunky, slow ship, it's going to have better than average for its tier turning ability, which is pretty cool. Now for its basic info, its overall defense is 33,501, with a flight velocity of 156, pretty slow, a warp speed of 2.7 AUs, a power grid output of 1,196 megawatts, its capacitor is 4,646 gigajoules, and a cargo hold capacity of 1,003. Naturally, being an Amarr, this ship really does want you to armor tank it. We're going to get into that in just a moment. So what have we done with this ship here today? Well, like we did with the other one, in my top slots, I have all of the pulse lasers put in here. Now, with max skills, as you can see, the turrets are doing a bit more damage than mine. They're sitting at a total of 1,465.13 DPS cold, which is pretty respectable. Now, how else do we fit this ship? In the mid slots, we do have a Vikarlakis Large Energy Nosferatu. We are going to be using a Predator Warp Scram and a Predator Stasis Webifier. For our drone, we're pulling our Mark 9 Vespa like always. In our low slots, we do have a Gist C-Type Medium Micro Warp Drive. We are going to be using a Sintus C-Type Large Shield Booster, a Gist C-Type Adaptive Invulnerability Field, a Pitham C-Type Reactive Shield Hardener, and 2 of the Centum C-Type Heat Sinks. Overall, we're going for mainly damage and a shield tank on this. And I know the shield tank is going to be a little bit surprising, especially taking me into consideration. I prefer my armor tanks in a lot of cases. But I think this ship is one of the ships that should be able to pull it off quite well. In our engineering rigs, we are going to have an Auxiliary Thrusters 3, giving us a bit more speed. We're running an Ancillary Power Grid Router 3, and we're also running a Capacitor Control Circuit 3. And this is going to give us hopefully a fine line between capacitor recharge rate and maximum cap, and the ability for it to recharge quicker in the heat of battle. For our weapon slots, we have a large laser, I can't even speak today, Laser Collision Accelerator 3s for a damage bonus of 17.5%. We have a Laser Burst Aerator 3 for an activation time adjustment of 12.5%. And we actually have a second Laser Burst Aerator 3 for an additional 12.5% on that activation time. With max skills, what we're looking at here is our maximum range, well, our optimal range, I apologize, is 31.5 km, with an accuracy fall off of 6.75. Basically meaning we're going to do 50% of our listed damage when we are at about 37.8 km away. Tracking speed is 7.24, which is pretty abysmal, but that's going to be that way with all large weaponry. Meaning that if anything does really get close to us, we really have to depend on the tank and the ability to outmaneuver it and slow it down and stop it. hopefully we'll have the ability to do that, and our little drone to kick out some of that damage. Now, one of the thing is on the public test server, we are coming in here with all level 5 skills. So another thing that's on here that is maxed is all of the drone skills. So we're looking at, with max drone skills for medium drones, you're looking at 38.44 DPS coming from your drone, and it can hit out to about 35 km. That part there might be a little misleading if you've specialized in the ship and you haven't specialized in drones themselves. So for the turrets, we're definitely going to get somewhere close. Those drones, you're probably not going to be there unless you have been dabbling in your drone boats as well. And that's pretty much what this thing looks like. So now I'm going to take it out and see how we're going to fare against a mission that I just happen to have here. And this one's going to be a little bit harder of a mission. It's actually going to be the hidden threat here. It's the hard mission. It's a 5 million ISK mission. And it is quite a bit of time away. So I'm going to go ahead and jump out to that, and I will see you in the mission. All right, here we are outside of the mission, Hidden Threat, and we're going to go ahead and do what we normally do. We're going to see what our resistances look like, and we're actually going to activate our propulsion, and we're going to see exactly what this thing can do. So first off, for the resistances, it does look like we are currently sitting at 59,918 with an EM resistance of 48, thermal 58, kinetic 69, and explosive 77. For our navigation, we can get up to 1,249. Meaning that if we do need to get away, hopefully we can. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and approach our vectors here and get Hidden Threat all lined up. Cool, micro warp drive is off, and we are going to warp in at about 48. I want to come in a little bit farther than normal, and then we're going to go up and get our station ready, because we probably want to move back towards that whilst we are dealing with the smaller ships. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to turn around and approach. And we're going to lock up these guys. And kind of just take a look at them here for a second. See if any one of them are coming at us. It doesn't look that way. It looks like they're all pretty peaceable ships. So we're going to put them into our approach. We do have our approach and our orbit set at 30 km. So we will hopefully be able to take advantage of that. I do believe our large NOS here is good up to 24 km. So we may want to dip in if we want to get the full advantage of that at some point. But we are within its fall off range. Okay, so we do have some ships that are closer than others, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that. Now again, we're doing about 50% damage out at about 48-ish, if I remember correctly. So let's go ahead and start zodding. Or was it 38-ish? I doubt I'm remembering correctly. Do 31, yeah, 38-ish. So we got about 10 more km. Okay, so let's approach this guy here. Actually, we're going to approach in order. It doesn't particularly matter. And we can turn this on just for our needs here and watch the big numbers come in. Oh, with our damage prop on, we are doing 1,876 DPS. Not bad, not bad. Let's start approaching this guy next. And let's focus fire. I think we might actually be in range where our drone can actually do some help here too. Seeing some pretty big numbers. We got some big hits here. And we are well within our optimal range now. Okay, and that's dead. Next, we're going to go for this Typhoon. 7,000 points of damage, not bad. We're going to cut through him rather quickly, and we're actually going to activate our shield booster here a little bit, just to top off our shields. And we can probably actually put this guy into an orbit. We're not really going to be speed tanking too terribly much, but any little bit that we can dissuade the damage is probably going to be better. And it looks like that hound is a Logi hound. That's interesting. Okay, and we are now down into the hull of the Typhoon, and he is dropping rather quickly. Some big hits. And we can activate our shield booster yet again. Top off just that little bit. Approach and focus fire our good friend, the Hound 2. Who is probably going to go down. Yeah. And let's get out of here. Let's activate the micro warp drive and see if we can't scooch. Okay. So we have a lot of fast little ships this time. So that's important that we do scooch. Let's focus fire. Get rid of this Thrasher if at all possible. It's going to be a nightmare to deal with, but that is exactly why we have our micro warp drive. Cool. We can actually turn that off for the time being. Set this guy into an orbit. And now we've gotten rid of the biggest threat here. This one is actually the closest, so let's go ahead and approach on him. And we can warp back in. We can do a little better than that. Okay. Let's go ahead and focus fire here. Turn off our shield booster. And lock up our other targets. Focus fire, set orbit. Dead. Getting this guy. The Bellicose. So far wave 2 has been fairly simple. Let's go ahead and move further in. Let's put this guy in an orbit. Activate some more damage and focus fire him as well. Beautiful. So this thing is tearing through this mission thus far. And that's exactly what I like to see. This ship can output so much damage, it's going to make it very quick to actually be able to do a lot of these missions, especially if you're just trying to do these missions to earn the books that you might need to get your missions for free. Your D10s and stuff that you might be doing. And it's always good to be able to do those for practically free. Let's activate both of these and see where its damage ends up with both of them activated. We're at 2,296.51 DPS. That's pretty impressive. So if you really wanted to focus down a ship very quickly, it can. Alright, we're going to go ahead and activate our shield booster for a couple of ticks here while we're getting this guy down. Just put ourselves back up to a respectable level. There we go. And that does drop our energy down quite a bit, but our recharge is pretty good with this ship, so let's go ahead and start approaching our base. We should be able to finish this guy off quite quickly. Build up that speed, just be moving away that little bit quicker, so when the small ships spawn we have a little bit more time to deal with them. Let's start locking up the tiny guys if we can, and see who comes out to greet us. Oof. That is a lot of firepower. Okay. This one here does look like it's coming out to greet us a little bit quicker than the rest of them. Alright, we can probably kill this now, let this guy catch up to us. It doesn't look like they're going to be doing too much speedy stuff here. And let's go ahead and focus fire. We can get rid of him, and then we also have this guy here who looks like he's going to be a little bit of a concern. So we will work on him next. And excellent, our 2 problem children are done with. Let's go ahead and activate our micro warp drive and start getting back into the fray. So even though this ship is pretty slow, with the micro warp drive and the regular adjustments that we can make, we can dictate our distance, especially with this thing being able to turn the way that it can, pretty effectively. Is it going to be effective enough for us to actually complete some storyline missions with? Not 100% sure on that as of yet. That's going to take a little bit more figuring out. Okay, start blasting these guys on our way in. And move over to our next one, and we're going to start setting these guys in orbit here. Perfect. And the reason why we're doing that is we're actually going to scooch in a little closer and take full advantage of our large Nosferatu here. We're going to do the same thing, orbit at 24, and we're going to start firing. The ship is able to hit really hard, and I love just watching it melt things. Yeah, with its ability to pretty much one-shot smaller ships, I really like the way it's putting together the micro warp drive speed with that. Is it going to be very effective versus the elite micro warp drive ships? I don't know. If you can stay away from them long enough and make sure you pick your targets right, might help you out, but I still think you might get overwhelmed a little bit. Okay, let's activate all of the tools of the trade. And this guy is as good as dead. I don't even think he's locked on to us. So able to complete a 5 million mission fairly quickly. Make quite a bit of ISK. Now, the whole thing is it's still going to have the trouble jumping out to these missions, so there is still that. So you are going to have to make the however many jumps it is, which is going to add on to the times of the missions, but it's just able to make very, very short work of anything once we do get the skills behind this and have it outfitted. Activate that yet again. Okay. We can start turning around back now in case there was another wave. It's always good to practice your retreating. And there we go. Was able to take out a 5 million mission. Easy peasy. We're going to take a look at the loot here. So, I mean, if you were afterwards, because you did bring a micro warp drive, you are able to actually go over and pick up your loot quite quickly and take advantage of all the drops that you might have received. This particular mission didn't have anything in there that was really going to be anything threatening at all, but it was able to cut through it like butter. And so that is pretty fun, and I think it is going to work out quite well, especially for expediting my missions once I do play around with mine on the live server a little bit and get it more set up in this manner. But I really do like the way that the Oracle is coming along. If you have any additional ideas for Oracle fits or things that you would like to see on here, I am kind of fishing around trying to look for the best one that I want to actually do in live, so please let me know in the comments down below. How would you fit the Oracle? What do you think would be the best way to actually take more of a close range approach to it? I have my Apocalypse on live that I'm using for my long range fit, so I'm really trying to make this guy work as a high power damage dealer, up in your face type of brawler that's going to help me clear out some of the smaller missions and get through some of that stuff in a timely manner for my main account. That being said, I really hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.